walked back into the WWE after 10 years and literally marched through hell to receive opportunities at the big dance, and you, Mr. Midlife Crisis, just decide to walk in when you feel like it and hide behind the fact that you think you're a bigger star than everybody here.
That they don't believe a goddamn word you say.
It seems the heels advocate has to make this video because my brothers and my sisters, John Cena, a year ago spoke the truth and we wouldn't listen. And honestly, time has always been the one element in revealing a man's character. And so, after the Monday Night Raw return of CM Punk, he comes in, he swoops in, and he takes the title off of Sami Zayn without the guy even having a single episode live on SmackDown to come out and celebrate his title victory. In that pipe bomb promo that John Cena cut on him, he talked about every single thing that used to make CM Punk, but now makes him a has-been. And he's living off of the coattails of the brand that he created so many years ago. In the words of John Cena, he said, "You were the best in the world for 7 minutes so many years ago." And to be honest, that is exactly the impression I got the moment CM Punk returned to the WWE. On the night of his return at Survivor Series or the subsequent immediate promos, he came out and he kind of mouthed into the camera. He said, "I'm not here to make friends. I am here to make money." And so that already indicates the vision that he has for the future of his career. After making a brand for himself, for being the voice of the voiceless, being the guy that kind of speaks up for the actual real fans who watch the freaking content week after week after week, and who were genuinely sick and tired of the bigger people coming in and out and trying to ruin the product on a consistent basis, whether it is some part-timers like The Rock or some part-timers like Brock Lesnar. He became the guy that was the face of the hardcore fan. And when he left the WWE and had his little stint in the UFC and he finally came back to AEW, that felt like the perfect place that the CM Punk character could flourish. And in that time, he made his stances known about the WWE.
My guest, go ahead, leave, main event night 4 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza, and then get released.
He felt like the main events being split into 2 nights, which it really wasn't ever considered really a night 1 main event and night 2 main event up until suddenly Roman Reigns and CM Punk had to end off Saturday Night WrestleMania, and suddenly now it became a big deal. Suddenly then it was counted as a main event, but when Kevin Owens and the Usos and Sami Zayn ended off Saturday Night WrestleMania at 39, I believe, nobody counted that. So it's very convenient that when CM Punk is in the mix, all of a sudden, then it is a bigger deal. So when he finally got to the point in AEW when he couldn't take it anymore and the backstage politics were getting to him a little bit too much, and he started to fight with Jungle Boy backstage, push him around, beat him down a little bit, it looked like CM Punk was becoming too rebellious, even in the place that allowed him to be the biggest rebel. The place that genuinely created a new brand just for him, AEW Collision on Saturdays. They did everything to keep CM Punk going strong in AEW, but CM Punk couldn't get out of his own way. And so, when he finally had no other bridge to go to, he had to rebuild the bridge he burned with the WWE. Suddenly, his fundamental differences with Vince McMahon weren't that fundamentally different, and everything that he said about Triple H, Paul Levesque wasn't that serious either. They can just suddenly then look over their mistakes. They can look past their differences and do what's best. That is the bigger thing to do, and I agree that that was the right decision to make. But when you start to create a brand around being a rebel, around being the guy that speaks up against the establishment, Then, when you make the opposite move, you then become the establishment. And the fact is, the fans have been cheering him on for all these years, ever since he came back, despite him being everything that he critiqued Brock Lesnar over, everything that he critiqued The Rock over, and The Rock truly had the best response. I believe it was WrestleMania 28. And it was the year that really CM Punk was starting to get fed up. It was the year that he was basically running around being the champion, but not really headlining the majority of the pay-per-views because John Cena was still the bigger guy, despite him not being the champion. So when The Rock finally took to Twitter and he said, look, you jabroni, when you come out here and you're complaining about me being the main event, me closing off these pay-per-views, the fact is, The Rock will outsell you in one night than what you will do your entire career. And that really put him in his place. That really put everything in perspective. And subsequently, when he finally did return to the WWE and he came out on numerous podcasts and he's been talking about how the pay structure is now different under TKO, and now he doesn't really care where he is on the card because he's going to get what he was supposed to get regardless of where he is on the card. So whether he opens up or closes, for him, it's all the same because the payment is the same.
Paycheck was always predicated on how many people were in the building, ticket sales, and the business of it. I always wanted to be in the main event because it got me more money. Now I don't care if I'm the opening match because I'm still going to make the same. And
so for all these years, was it really a problem for CM Punk that he wasn't the main event, or was it really bothering him that he wasn't making the top dollar as the top earners? That is exactly the distinction that he wasn't clear about. He's always basically sold the idea that, no, the part-timers can't go out there and main event. No, the part-timers can't come in and steal my WWE championship away from me like The Rock did at the Royal Rumble. No, they can't do that. Why? Because they're part-timers. They are outsiders. They are not the guys coming in and out every single week. I am here, right? Even after Brock Lesnar beats me down. So why is Brock Lesnar beating me down, right?
So he goes, you versus Brock, SummerSlam. And I went, great. Who's going over? And he goes, well, Brock. And I went, great. Who's going to be at work on Monday? And there's just silence on the end of the phone. And he goes, well, you. And I went, why? I said, do I get my rematch at the next pay-per-view? And he goes, no. I said, when's Brock coming back? He said, probably the Royal Rumble. And I went, fucking hell. Okay, so I got to put over The Rock, and he goes away. I got to put over Taker, and he goes away. And now I'm putting over Brock, and he goes away. My stock is dropping rapidly in the eyes of the casual viewer, who is who they care about.
Even in that one clip where he talked about that, I can't really think for one single second how he could ever justify it to himself when clearly Brock Lesnar is a legitimate UFC champion. Clearly Brock Lesnar is a legitimate collegiate wrestling champion. He's a legitimate badass. He's a legitimate fighter. And in no universe would a match happen between CM Punk and Brock Lesnar, and CM Punk would be the one winning that match. It just didn't make any sense. It could be that CM Punk, for all I care about, was on a 25% freaking activity schedule, and Brock Lesnar was on freaking television every single week. Would that make a difference? No. So whether The Rock was part-time or Brock Lesnar was part-time doesn't take away from the fact that in some matches, he was simply never going to win. And that truly bothered him, right? That really bothered him. But seemingly it doesn't bother him now today conveniently when it plays into his narrative, when he can come back after losing at WrestleMania and making no efforts into getting a rematch against the guy that he almost beat, Roman Reigns, and the guy that he's been beefing with for the entire year. Suddenly he doesn't care enough to come back in the last 3-4 months after he lost. Suddenly he can go out there and take a vacation because, well, guess what? You never know when a championship opportunity might just land in your lap. And it did, right? 3-4 months after WrestleMania, he gets a random episode on Chicago Raw. He comes in, he walks in through the freaking gate, and Sami Zayn is waiting for his first title defense. He walks in, he beats down Sami Zayn, he takes his title that he couldn't even hold for 10 days, and CM Punk is the new WWE champion, and he did exactly what he was complaining about getting done to him by Triple H, by Brock Lesnar, by The Rock. Now, that becomes my problem. How is it that it is very bad for them to do such a thing, but it's not that bad when you do it? Now, that argument, it holds merits, but I am going to be playing the heel's advocate now, or the devil's advocate, I should say. And I am not going to lie to you guys. The differences between Brock Lesnar, The Rock, or anybody else that he lost to that was a part-timer that he had to put over, in my opinion, it doesn't compare. Now, is it true that in the last 3-4 months he could have came back and addressed Roman Reigns? Yes. But would you, right, being CM Punk, who ever since winning the World Heavyweight Championship in, October, November, he was out here defending it on a regular basis on Saturday night's main events, in December, on the Raw anniversary against Braun Breaker, twice against Finn Balor, other matches here and there on a weekly basis, doing the European tour and, resting very often at the beginning of the year before WrestleMania, before Roman Reigns picked him at WrestleMania. He was very active, and if I'm going to be completely honest here, CM Punk has been putting in the most work this year than anybody else. And if I'm going to be even more honest on top of that, CM Punk should be, or is right now, the runner-up for being the MVP of the year. So him coming back and having the opportunity to come in and defeat Sami Zayn and taking that opportunity is, in my opinion, the right thing to do. Just as it was the right thing to do when Brock Lesnar and him are facing off, or when The Undertaker and him are facing off, or The Rock and him are facing off. These guys are always going to be better than him, and they were always going to be beating him. And it's the same logic being applied to him versus Sami Zayn. In no universe, in no timeline, maybe in a triple threat, could Sami Zayn defeat CM Punk, but on a regular one-on-one match, especially when they're both baby faces, or, as babyface as Sami Zayn can be, in no universe can Sami Zayn defeat an icon, a legend, an established guy like CM Punk, a guy who, let's just say main event at WrestleMania twice now, right? He can't go out there and beat him. It just doesn't make any sense. And from that perspective, from that optic, yes, it does make sense. But I also understand how it can look a little bit hypocritical, at least, that he can just walk in and take the opportunity away from Sami Zayn. And it isn't so much so that he took an opportunity away from Sami Zayn, because the opportunity that Sami Zayn got was even holding the title for 9 days. He's lucky to even hold that. He has always been, and he was always supposed to be, a transitional champion. So when he gets to a point where, okay, he served his purpose, he got the pop in Riyadh, and now he's back into the States, and now, alright, it's time to build up to the SummerSlam pay-per-view, and it's like, okay, now we have to rely on the big stars. Sami Zayn, you gotta step aside, jabroni. You can never draw a dime. Just the same logic that The Rock applied to CM Punk is applying to Sami Zayn, but he's not being really harsh about it, right? So he can just come out there and say, alright, Sami, I'm gonna fight you head on, face to face, mano a mano, and the best man will win, which is obviously going to be me, because I am the best in the world. That is what CM Punk is all about. Now, another issue that a lot of people have is being the guy that is very vocal and is very opinionated. For example, when The Miz went to Crown Jewel in Saudi or Riyadh or Jeddah, what the hell it was at that time, and he was basically saying that, look, Miz, you are a sellout. How about you go out there and you gobble on blood money covered you-know-whats, you freaking POS. And what do you know? A few years later, he's trying to go after John Cena and his WWE Championship, and John Cena told him straight to his face, do you want this title? Really? Yes, you do? Well, I guess you're going to have to follow me to Riyadh. And hey, follow he did. And the moment he landed, he made sure to stage this moment where it looked like it was a natural interaction, but, this was actually planned. He gets on the mic. He's listening to the freaking crowd that he dissed so many years ago, but I guess the payment was high enough for him to sell his morals or change his morals around, like John Cena said. You change your morals more than I change my t-shirts. So suddenly CM Punk is there saying, all right, what is your name, Muhammad? I am sorry. I am apologizing to the entire kingdom. Now, did he do the right thing? Yes, of course he did do the right thing. But the problem is that it goes against his brand. What is his brand? Once again, my friends, his brand is supposed to be the guy that is against the establishment. So when he's out there apologizing, it breaks down the illusion of CM Punk. Now we're listening to Phil Brooks, and I have no issues with Phil Brooks advancing his wrestling character. I'm really happy that he's not the guy exactly like the way he was in 2011, 2010, 2012, 13, however many years ago it was. I'm really happy that he has established himself in a different way, right? In a way that is more adaptable, more creatively open. He doesn't want to fight everybody backstage anymore, right? Now he's at a point where he wants to make the right decisions, and he's doing that. And now he's in this position that he is. You know, this year he was World Heavyweight Champion, and now he's WWE Champion. He's done more than anybody else. So clearly it's working for him. But the problem then becomes, why is he still relying on the gimmick he created so many years ago? Now is exactly the point in time that I believe CM Punk should be going around changing his look, changing his appearance, his attire, his moveset a little bit at least, because look at him. You know, he's packed on a lot of muscles. He looks better than he has done in his entire career, and he's like, what, 46, 47 years old, so he's clearly doing something right. But the one thing he isn't doing right is changing up that gimmick. Now, I know a lot of people always talk about this guy needs to turn heel, that guy needs to turn heel, but the fact of the matter is this: a heel turn should come naturally. When the audience starts to get sick and tired of you, that is when you turn. And I believe we might start to play into that tiredness of the crowd. Oh man, why is CM Punk in this? Oh man, why did CM Punk screw Sami? Oh man, oh man. And it's kind of like the way Sami Zayn played into being the last good guy, and that being annoying to the crowd, thus being a heel while saying that he's a babyface. CM Punk can do the same exact thing. He can come out there and say, yes, I am being the voice of the voiceless. What are you talking about? No. That will be exactly the contradiction. While CM Punk still sees himself as the voice of the voiceless, as the underdog, as the anti-establishment punk, whatever the hell you want to call it, by keeping on repeating it, he becomes more and more far away than what that guy was supposed to represent. And so now he becomes this disillusioned guy, this disenfranchised guy that he can't relate to the way he was anymore. And the more he tries, the further he gets. So he's more alike the guys he used to diss, like Triple H, Vince McMahon, The Rock. And so now is the time for him to align with TKO. He can become Mr. TKO, right? He used to hate on Vince McMahon. He used to say that it would be better maybe after he's dead. But look, he's gone now. And now you have to become that guy. Maybe he has to go out there and sell his soul to The Rock. Maybe that could work, you know? Both ways are fine in my book. If he wants to come out and become part of the authority, become part of Ari Emanuel, Triple H, TKO, that could work. Pat McAfee, that could work. Or if you truly want to reignite the character that was the fundamental base of his success, which was being a rebel, then you can do just the same thing as well. You can have him go out there like you did before WrestleMania and say, hey, Ari Emanuel, lower the ticket prices. Obviously, that's a shoot. I mean, like, you know, that wasn't a shoot. That was a work, but you covered up as a shoot. But nonetheless, you still got the people behind you. Like, obviously, the pipe bomb wasn't an actual pipe bomb. You know, that was also pre-planned and pre-staged and pre-approved. But you could have him go out there and say, man, everybody's sad. Everybody's upset with you, WWE, TKO, lower the ticket prices. Or, hey, he can go out there and try and challenge Triple H. He can go out there and try and challenge The Rock. All these corporate guys, like maybe even Cody, right? He can be like, you are the golden boy, you are the darling, you and The Rock, you and Triple H, everybody backstage, you guys are all in it together. And this kind of reminds me of the way that right now LA Knight is. After that promo he cut on Seth Rollins, he's now in a position where, wow, look at him. He is really embodying the CM Punk spirit. And if CM Punk and LA Knight can maybe align, they can create this faction that kind of goes against the establishment or something like that. So we can really do something that will ignite that flame. And another reason why people are getting really upset with him is because he can come out there on his promos and flat out lie. He can come out there and say, well, look, Roman Reigns, I don't need a wise man. I don't need a faction. I don't need people around me to protect me, when quite literally he was the leader of the faction. Quite literally, Paul Heyman was his advocate for so many years, basically his entire heel run as a champion. And if we're going to be completely honest, the best success he's had in his career was that title run, and that came at the expense of being a heel. So clearly, there is something behind it, being a heel and having a long title run. So maybe that is the best sign, but clearly it becomes a little bit hypocritical when in his most impassioned promos, he's talking about The Rock coming in and out whenever he pleases and saying like, look, you're having a midlife crisis. You're coming in and out over here and doing what you want because you think you're better than us, which he is. The Rock is better than the WWE. Let's be real about it, right? That can be exactly what he can become, right? Everything that he's dissing in his promos, he has become or he has been. And so we can either do two things now. We can either play into that, right, of him being a complete hypocrite, or we can make him actually be the complete opposite for real and stand up for what he believes in, as the character CM Punk has done for so many years. But if we will want to play this card of like, oh yeah, okay, something happened with TKO, Ari Emanuel brings in Pat McAfee or The Rock, and The Rock comes in and out, and it's like, all right, you know, we brought in these guys, they did a few things here and there, and now they've been, completely off the map. And it's like, all right, now they're gone. What do we do? All right, just send CM Punk out there to cut a impassionate promo, and then the next week we'll just go back to our regular programming as if nothing happened. So, we can either do that as well, but I believe if we truly want to, tap into an emotion that really exists in this market, and that is the dissatisfaction of the TKO Corporation. If we can go out there and put a face on the TKO Corporation, clearly we can put it on Triple H, but Triple H can't go out there and get his ass beat in the ring. So I think the next best thing can either be Cody Rhodes takes on that mantle, but I believe Cody Rhodes is too good of a babyface right now, and I don't think he would be truly believable. And I think the seeds are really, really planted for CM Punk to be that corporate heel. And I think if CM Punk becomes that guy, if he turns heel, he joins the TKO side of things, and he's like, all right, man, maybe Pat McAfee wasn't all too bad. All right, man, maybe The Rock wasn't all too bad. Then, hey, we might just have gold. But clearly we have a lot of reasons why fans are upset at him. We have a lot of contradictions. We have a lot of hypocrisy from CM Punk. But I believe nonetheless, the one thing he's done really, really well is still be in touch with the viewers' emotions. Whether he wins, whether he loses, we're all invested. And I'm really happy to have CM Punk back, because he at least creates interest in this dull environment that we all know as the WWE.